Welcome to the Healthcare Distribution Alliance's first LinkedIn Live event. I'm Perry Fry with HDA. Joining me is Jeff Gaynor, who serves as a business process senior manager at McKesson, as well as Rena Goins, who is the executive director of global trade and distribution at Regeneron. Today, the three of us will discuss the success of the U.S. pharmaceutical cold chain and the challenges that lie ahead. Rena, you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
So thank you so much, Perry, and thank you to HDA for sponsoring this first of what hopes to be many LinkedIn learnings for the team. My name is Rena Goins. I've been with Regeneron for about 12 years, but I have over 30 years experience in specialty distribution across multiple therapeutic areas. I'm excited to talk today, and we'll be representing opinions of myself and not necessarily those of Regeneron. And I look forward to the rest of our conversation. Thanks, Perry.
Great. All right. Super. Thank you, Rena. Jeff, tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi. Yep. Thank you, Perry. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and thank you for HDA for having this event. So I have been with McKesson for about 10 years. This will be year number 10. In my role currently, I work with leaders to identify and evaluate, prioritize opportunities for improvement. I have a background in distribution operations and logistics, and I'm a certified Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. And this led to me supporting McKesson's pandemic response for the U.S. government's Operation Warp Speed.
Great. Thank you both. It's a pleasure to have you both join us. Before we dive into the discussion, I wanted to provide background on the HDA Research Foundation's recent report on the future of the U.S. pharmaceutical cold chain. The foundation is HCA's nonprofit research entity that serves as a thought leader on supply chain issues. Cold chain came to the forefront during COVID-19, but we have seen this segment's remarkable growth for some time. The market for cold chain is projected to increase from $17 billion in 2020 to $21 billion by this year. With the continued introduction of temperature-regulated prescription pharmaceuticals, including biologics such as vaccines, injectables, cell and gene therapies, and others, the foundation completed a research project with Envision Pharma Group and 2 labs. Through the research process, we spoke with 35 experts in this field representing manufacturing, distribution, pharmacy, third-party logistics providers, and shippers to understand the current state of the segment and future opportunities. The report culminated in 6 calls to action to assist stakeholders in ongoing communication and coordination across the pharmaceutical supply chain. So let's get started. Our research shows that there is a growing volume of cold chain products. Do you think the supply chain, including providers, is prepared? And what do we need to focus on to ensure patients continue to safely receive their medications? So Rena, I'm going to start with you.
So thanks, Perry. Really appreciate it. With a background working on monoclonal antibodies and vaccines, and like Jeff being involved in our pandemic response in the country, I think that the supply chain has learned a lot. Do I think we're prepared? I'm not sure. That you put a staggering number out there around the dollar value, but also just the number of SKUs that need to be handled in cold chain. I think that medications that require these temperature handling are becoming more prevalent, but also are more critical, meaning that they might not have the ability to have excursions that historically we might have had, from the manufacturer to the distributor to the loading dock to the hospital to the patient. All those excursions can add up, and I think products really want to have their best integrity delivered on them by keeping them cold all along the way. So I don't think the supply chain is totally prepared right now. I think that providers are still struggling with how much refrigerator space they need, putting in generators, understanding how to make sure the refrigerator door is closed and that there's a temperature monitor inside the fridge. There's a lot we have coming. Certainly cell and gene therapies are putting a bright light on this as well, because there's a lot of cold chain and point-to-point transit time. But the last mile is tricky, getting from the distributor to the hospital, to the healthcare provider office or the retail pharmacy. And that cold chain volume is really going to pressure test our industry.
Jeff, your thoughts. Obviously, you have a closer connection at that provider piece of the puzzle. How are things looking for you?
Yeah, well, while I can't speak on behalf of all manufacturers or distributors, I can say, McKesson internally, we're well prepared for that growth within cold chain. We work closely within the supply chain, with manufacturers to understand what new products are coming into the market and ensuring that we have that capacity to store and successfully distribute those products, whether that's refrigerated, frozen, or ultra cold. We're seeing more and more in the ultra cold space. One thing that I think is very important all the way throughout the supply chain, and Rena, you definitely touched on it, is maintaining strong standard operating procedures. As this growth continues, and I don't think it will stop anytime soon, that's important. Having well-trained and well-documented and rigorous SOPs throughout the supply chain so that we're getting these critical medications to patients viable is key.
Jeff, just to build on, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rena.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interject, but Jeff, you called out a key thing that I think represents our opportunity is to create standardization and SOPs and really common activities across the supply chain. And to your point is, I know, McKesson works really hard to make sure that there's a strong continuity of management across all of your partners, whether it's your specialty business or your full line wholesale, but also even into pharmacy. So I think that standardization is definitely a flagship opportunity for us all.
All right, good. That was the question I was going to ask, so we're fine. Jeff, the COVID response included a really quick expansion in cold chain capabilities, and you obviously had a unique experience there. What did you learn from that experience?
Really, I had two big learnings, Perry, and it was an awesome experience to be a part of that. The first was understanding the importance of shipping lanes. We can have strong, we can control what's in our building, but once that product goes out, we need to understand, the better we can understand what that package will experience, the better control we have. I think the second would be the rigor that we need around internal training and retraining across our workforce to ensure product integrity. The shipping lane piece, we found that it was we found it was necessary to really partner with experts so that we were able to make the best decisions on when and how to ship product to prevent excursions. And from the training piece, these shipping solutions could change drastically depending on seasonality, the pack out duration we needed to reach highly remote customers or patients, and then a lot of times just extreme ambient temperatures a shipper might experience. Think Texas, Texas or Arizona in August, or maybe Washington, D.C. right now.
Rena, you guys had therapies in this area too. How much did you learn from the COVID experience?
Yeah, for me personally, I learned the supply chain initially wasn't ready for frozen products at a large scale. So many distributors and certainly downstream players in the supply chain were scrambling to buy freezers, validate shipping containers, trying to monitor medications in transit, moving medications from one office to another when one had to close. There was some initial chaos. I think from that, though, we learned that lean and dedicated specialized solutions, from limited distribution channels to selecting one type of pack out to developing lane management, as Jeff identified, even aligning on temp loggers, all that specializations to define and unified approaches created value, but also created consistency and integrity. Everyone in the channel could align on some singular ways of assuring temperature integrity. And Jeff brought up the concept of, training and retraining, really having a certification in cold chain, right? How do you manage it from dock to dock all the way across the supply chain is certainly worth thinking about. During COVID, we had the opportunity to work on treatment products that were going all over the place during a very difficult time for healthcare providers, and just being able, as Jeff pointed out, to manage lanes. We learned that those last mile deliveries through commercial carriers like UPS and FedEx presented some real challenges during a pandemic when maybe we didn't capture a delivery signature, so we couldn't confirm time in transit. Or in the US, maybe we don't have a cost competitive solution for direct pharma distribution and transportation at a small parcel level that large distributors like McKesson, Cardinal, and Cencora could use. I think it's an area we should re-explore and look at the carriers, maybe some new solutions, and really, hone and refine our ability to manage cold chain routing. Weather watch programs are what I refer to. We're all weather experts. We look at what the weather will be, as you said. What's it going to be in Texas tomorrow because my package leaves tonight, and how do we make sure it stays cool in transit? But also on the flip side of that, I live in Tennessee, and we've been literally shut down by ice storms. So we've had ultra low freezing temperatures outside, and those present challenges as well. So during the pandemic, I think we learned a lot about, as Jeff said, the lanes, but also the solutions in the lanes, and identified some areas for some harmonization and some specialization.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Every time we have this conversation, I feel like something new comes up as a really big topic. And the shipping lanes piece that both of you have discussed is kind of this. I wouldn't say it's a new one, but more of a highlight this time. Is there opportunity for the industry to have a bigger discussion, particularly with shippers, around how we solve that and get some consistency in that arena?
Absolutely. I think, Jeff, we could all benefit from sitting down together with them and talking about how product moves, and how, yes, Billy's teddy bear is important at Christmas, but so is the medication going to the physician office or the hospital.
Absolutely.
All right. So the other big topic that keeps coming up when we have this discussion is the fact that the foundation report highlighted environmental sustainability concerns around the pharmaceutical cold chain. However, most are not as far along as they'd like to be. What are some of the areas, Rena, you think the industry can get focused on, and what might be the biggest issues?
I'm passionate about our sustainability needs. I want to leave the planet in a good shape for many generations to come. With that in mind, I think we should all challenge ourselves to really walk the path of our products. And what I mean is, from the manufacturers, from the lab to the distributor, even beyond that to the hospital and the patient at the counter in the pharmacy. I think if we can do that from the receipt to the ultimate delivery to those HCP offices, hospitals, and patients' homes, we can learn a lot. We can find out how we can possibly streamline, where we can build consistency, where we could possibly create controls to verify the integrity of the solution. Going green will not be less expensive, and accounting teams don't want to hear that, nor do finance teams. It's going to require investments, reusable packaging, perhaps EV fleets of vehicles, disposal solutions for our packaging materials. I think all of these are things that we need to get our arms around and start talking about now. Ex-US, there are mandates on being able to track and report on carbon emissions footprint. Those mandates are coming to the States. It's just a matter of time. I think many pharma firms and our distributor networks are starting to track these things now. I think that's a great first step, but we need to see what we have from start to finish. And then let's meet, talk to the stakeholders, and figure out what we can do together. They say what's measured is what matters. If we don't measure this and create a benchmark of where we are now, we're not going to be able to improve. I think, the conversation's just beginning here. It was great to have this report as an opportunity for everybody to kind of see where are we now and put a stake in the ground to some opportunities. But getting those various perspectives is going to be really important to affect change.
Jeff, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. As a global leader in healthcare, we recognize and embrace our responsibility to protect the planet as we sustain our business and advance our purpose. We try and utilize reusable shippers. We use them in several of our businesses currently. In our MPB segment, we've converted to a reusable program for our shipping solutions. And that was an investment, but we're making that in mind. It's a better performing solution, so it has better product integrity. We're able to ensure better product integrity and reduce the risk of excursions. It is an investment though, and in order to make it to work, one of the things we found that's most important as a reusable solution is getting them back timely, right? Getting them back in the supply chain, so we're able to use them again and not have to build more.
Right.
Well, this is great, guys. Thank you. Obviously, a lot of work to do, but a lot of successes that we've had already. Thank you again, Rena and Jeff, for joining me today and sharing your many insights. There will be activities coming out of HDA related to the action items identified in the report, including expanded cold chain specific educational opportunities. Stay connected to HDA's communications channels for the latest news on this front. In the meantime, I encourage our listeners to read the HDA Research Foundation's latest report, which is available for free at hda.org/publications. I also want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the Foundation's report. Please stay connected to our LinkedIn page as we plan to host other discussions on distribution-focused topics. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.